How's everybody today? Good. Well, just, a quick summary. It's important when you play in difficult games against good opponents on the road that you finish plays, that you finish drives, that you finish the game, whether it be on offense, defense, or special teams. And, we did not do that very well in this game. Turned the ball over the last 2 times we had it, had very costly penalties, made a couple mental errors on defense. And, when you play against good teams in tough situations, it's difficult to overcome. So the question now becomes the same thing that I said after the game. How do you respond to a loss? And everybody's got to ask themselves the questions from the coaches right on down, starting with me. Who's making this team better? I'm talking about how you affect other people, how you help other people play better, how you help other people get better, how we get more players involved in being able to play, winning football, regardless of, whether we play out in the parking lot, on the road, in Bryant-Denny Stadium. It really doesn't matter. But the 2 games that we played, on the road, I don't think that, we played with the same kind of energy and enthusiasm for whatever reasons, which is something that, each player has got to be able to challenge himself to do. I'm not saying we didn't play hard. I'm not saying we had guys loafing. That wasn't the case. But I just mean to finish things, to make the kind of plays that, we need to make to be the kind of team that we can be. We had some players of the week. Cam Robinson really played well. T.J. Yeldon played very well. On defense, Xavier Dixon and Reggie Ragland had really good games, and Ashawn Robinson with a field goal block, and J.K. Scott did a great job of punting. So those guys are, the players of the week. Injuries, Kenyon Drake and Denzel Duvall both had surgeries. Kenyon but is probably a little worse in terms of his injury and his recovery time. Denzel, not probably as bad. Possibility of maybe 3 or 4 weeks, having a chance to get him back. Ryan Kelly has a sprained knee, which we talked about before. He's probably going to be at least a couple weeks, depending on how his rehab goes, as to when we can, possibly get him back. So, these guys are all these guys have been really good players for us, and they've made a great contribution to, our team in many different ways. But, as always, when you lose players, it creates opportunities for other players, and this is, obviously a situation where we're going to need some other guys to step up big, to take the roles of what these guys have been able to accomplish and do. Arkansas is really probably the most improved team in the country in terms of, if you want to compare from last year to this year. They've really played very, very well all season long. Had a great chance to beat A&M. Came up a little short in the end. Been dominating in terms of the way they've been able to run the football and really pass it effectively when they've needed to. The quarterback's playing really well for them. They got 2 really, really good running backs. Their offensive line is not only big, they do a really, really good job of executing what they do. They've only given up 1 sack all year long. A lot of that probably has to do with the fact that they run the ball very well and don't get in a lot of situations where you can even try to pressure the quarterback because you're always worried about playing the run. And this is probably, the best, overall offensive running team that we faced all year long, no question, with the capability to make big plays throwing the ball. Defensively, I think they're, much improved as well. Better up front, better in the secondary. really, play hard, play with a lot of toughness. This is a very physical team on both sides of the ball, so this is going to be a very challenging game. I mean, these guys are a very, very good football team, and our team is going to have to play as well as we played and continue to improve to be able to have success, especially on the road.
Coach, I have two. First, just to follow up on Kenyon, what exactly did they tell you had to be done, and what is his prognosis?
Well, I think that's a better question for the medical staff. I don't want to say anything that wouldn't be correct, but I think it's a very similar injury to what Derrick Henry had in spring practice a couple years ago. So I think it's very similar to the surgery I had when I was a player, where they sort of, you break your leg and your ankle's dislocated and you actually pin the two together. But that's not a lot of medical expertise, there. But I think it'd be a better question for the medical staff. And I think probably 8 to 10 weeks before he really can start, doing things that would allow him to be able to even think about being able to play football again.
Okay, and going back to the game briefly, just specifically on kickoff return, you had your last two, you had a fumble, you had a block in the back. Is that an area where there could be some changes in who the returners are, or what changes are you looking at?
Well, we've had a lot of success with the returner that we have, but, the disappointing thing, one of the disappointing things to me about our team is we have made more emphasis on ball security and getting turnovers this year than I can ever remember in all the time I've been a coach. All right, and we continue to not carry the ball correctly and turn the ball over, and we have not been able to attack the football well enough when we play defense and on special teams to create turnovers. So this is something that we'll continue to emphasize. I think if we continue to have issues in these areas, we have other people that are more capable because ball security is of utmost importance. In the kicking game especially, I know guys want to make plays, all right, but it's our ball. All right, we just stop them on a punt return, and we get a punt return. All right, so it's a great plus if we can gain 10, 12 yards like we got a first down on the return. Same thing with field position on a kickoff return. But there's nothing more important than ball security because we lose a possession if we don't take care of the football. So, and that's been emphasized and will continue to be emphasized so that, hopefully we can reverse this trend of, a negative turnover ratio every week.
Kenyon seemed to bring a lot to the table, whether he could run routes going out wide and everything. How important was that versatility and just his presence in the backfield?
Well, Kenyon's got a lot of production for us, and he's done a really good job all year long, and I don't think there's any question about the fact that, when you lose a player like that, it does have some impact, but I do think that we have other players that can do those things, and now they're going to get the opportunity to do it, and we're going to have some other people step up.
And you guys, as a follow-up, you guys have overcome losses in the regular season before and still managed to accomplish all your goals. Do you bring that up to your players, or you just want the focus on immediately, improving now, short term?
Well, I think it's all about how do you respond to the loss. If you respond to the loss the right way and do the right things to fix what you need to fix so that we can get better as a team, that's going to give us the opportunity to be successful. Look, playing in our league, all right, is like climbing a mountain, and every game is a critical game. Every game is an important game, and every team that you play, I think, in our division could beat anybody. All right, so, and there's some very, very good teams in our league, including the one that we're playing this week. So people make assumptions that just because it's a certain team that you beat for the last 10 years, that you're going to beat them again. And I don't think that's necessarily true, especially this year, especially in the competition that we have. So we need to play really well every week, and we need to improve every week. And, sometimes when you have things that you have to overcome, which injuries are one. But lack of execution and turning the ball over are things that happen on the field that we have to do a much better job of as well.
At center, you had Bradley Bozeman in there for the end of the game. Is there any other players you'll be looking at that position, or is this going to be kind of his
Well,
job?
it's not a position where you can just throw a guy in and say, okay, you play center now, that you never played before. All right, you just got to snap the ball. You have to be able to step and snap the ball. Most players who haven't played center are not accustomed to doing that. Bozeman and Josh Casher are now the two guys, and J.C. Hassenhauer are guys that we have that are centers, and we're going to have to develop them at centers. We can't just move the right tackle to center and say, be a center. It doesn't work that way. All right, and I wish we could, so we could, sort of always have our 5 best guys out there, but the center is the one position, all right, that a guy has to, whether it's shotgun snaps, quarterback center exchange. There's a lot of things that need to happen correctly before you ever go block the guy you have to block. And, it's just not something where, these are the guys that we've tried to develop at this position, so that's the way we have to go right now.
I got a couple. You've worked a few guys out at right guard. Given some of the issues you've had there at times with mental breakdowns, penalties, what's your plan going forward for right guard?
Well, we have to make the guys that are playing there better. I think Leon actually played better in this game, to his credit. Shank got an opportunity to play, and he actually played better, all right, in this game. So, that's the key to the drill, is we don't have another player. I know for fans, there's always hope. Put the other quarterback in, kick the other kicker. Well, if they were better, we'd play them to start with. All right, so we have to make the people that we have better, and they're capable of playing better, and we're certainly going to do everything we can to support them and helping them do that.
And secondly, how's Grant Hill, and will he be available this week?
He's still ill. We're hopeful to get him back, at some point in time this week, but, we're kind of leaving that pretty much up to him and the medical staff to make that decision.
It's a little bit back to the future, going with the style of play Arkansas plays. Can you discuss that a little bit? You're familiar with defending it, obviously, and going against it, but how does that affect what you try to do?
Well, this is, I never thought that I would be here as a coach in my lifetime as a coach, that running regular I formation plays and running the ball out of regular 2 wide receivers, 2 backs in the backfield would be the anomaly, all right, of football. We have not played, I don't think, a dozen snaps of regular defense all year long, based on the style of play that we see each and every week with the spread, kind of offenses, which I think are very good offenses. And I don't think just because they're spread, they don't try to run the ball. I think they're very, very effective teams running the ball that do this. But this is, back to the future is really kind of a good way to say it. I mean, this is really old-fashioned, hard-nosed, Bo Schembechler, Woody Hayes kind of football. And that's something that is going to be different, for our players and our preparation. In fact, it's so different. During the bye week, we spent a day on trying to review regular defense, that we don't ever seem to play. But we will play it this week.
Just wondering, going back and looking at the tape with the kickoff returns and the kickoff coverages, what did you see specifically that that led to some of the negative plays?
Well, Well, the kickoff return, first of all, we had a very good kickoff return to start the game. The first possession that we had out to about the 35 or 40-yard line. And, you know, we did not execute and block the people up front effectively on the other returns. And we had a decent return on the one we fumbled. But we were not carrying the ball properly and fumbled the ball. Kickoff coverage, you know, the win situation where we had to hold the ball for the kicker didn't kick that ball very well. You know, you'd like to see the kickoff coverage be on the 30-yard line or past when the guy catches the ball. We weren't to the 40-yard line yet because the ball still blew off the tee, and he still mishit the ball, and it was a line drive kick. That was the first one. And then because the guy was holding, he didn't get in the proper position to safety. All right, and we had a couple guys that had an opportunity to make the play that didn't. So that's an area, all these areas of special teams to me are areas that, you know, we're capable of playing better, we need to play better, and we have a lot of young players out there that need to make better decisions about when they block. Is it a block in the back? When do I not block because I'm going to block the guy in the back? When do I two-gap the blocker instead of dodging the blocker? These are all things that we need to improve on.
After watching the tape, seeing the secondary, just what did you see from them? Was it more what Ole Miss was doing or just some mental mistakes on you guys' side?
Well, you know, Ole Miss really, we played pretty decent except for they had like over 80 yards on two big plays. And those two big plays, one was a 34, 35-yard touchdown pass where we didn't play the post properly. And the other one was a mental error on defense where they put trips into the boundary, three receivers into the boundary, and just run them all down the field on a fastball play. All right, you know, and we didn't adjust like we were supposed to, and the tight end catches the ball for 50 yards. So other than those two plays, there was a couple third downs where we could have played a little better and got off the field if we'd executed a little better. But other than those two plays, and the last play on 3rd and 11, you know, it really wasn't a hard play for us to make. All right, and we just didn't play it correctly. So, but, you know, other than that, we have to continue to get better because those are the plays that kill you, explosive plays, and we can't give those plays up. It doesn't do any good to play 60-some plays in a game and then two bad ones. You've got to play them all good and do the right thing so that we don't give up those big plays.
Coach, you talked about Blake taking what the defense gives. You've been saying that all season. Now you look back at the film, how far away did he get from taking that base core of taking what the defense gives?
You talking about Blake? Well, Blake's played really well for us all year long. I think, you know, they did a good job of, you know, rolling the coverage up to where we wanted to throw the ball at times, and they dropped 8 guys, you know, quite a bit on passing situations, and, you know, Blake missed a couple explosive plays that we had guys open that we didn't get the ball to, but a couple times on the runs, you know, we should have gone a different direction and didn't check where we should have. But, you know, other than that, you know, he did a pretty good job of executing. And, you know, the last throw, I mean, if we don't get the penalty, he wouldn't make the last throw. We wouldn't even call that play. So, you know, that's another penalty that had nothing to do with the play. We're going to have first down at the 18-yard line, all right, with 44 seconds to go in the game, and get a penalty, put us in a long yardage situation. And so those are the types of things that get you beat. And if we continue to do those things, we're going to continue to have problems. But these things are all very correctable, and this takes a little more discipline to do what you're expected to do and what you're being coached to do, and having the discipline to do it.
Actually got 2 for you. You mentioned the 2 games away from here. It's been a challenge creating, you know, the energy level. Is there something on the road that's just inherently harder to,
Energy level is probably not the right word. I was thinking more mental intensity to sustain the mental intensity and focus that you need to finish the game, play through momentum swings in the game, which the 50-yard pass that I talked about to the tight end, probably changed the momentum of the game, and we never changed it back. All right, we went down and kicked a field goal. Opening drive of the second half, we have a good drive and come up empty because, we didn't finish the drive. Stalled out 3 or 4 times inside the 30-yard line and actually had negative plays that made it difficult field goals, which we ended up missing a couple. We never really changed the momentum of the game back by having the mental toughness and focus to be able to play through those things, and that's what we got to learn how to do better.
And the other one I've got, I don't know what your relationship is. Coach Blakeney, long time at Troy, announced his retirement at the end of the season. I don't know if you guys know each other very well or what.
Well, I don't know him
reaction.
well, but I certainly have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He's done a fantastic job there for a long, long time, and I know they've struggled a little bit the last couple of years, but he's visited here a few times, and we've always had a lot of respect for him and the program that he has and the success that they've had there for a long, long time.